I'm delighted to be joined here on Policing TV in this latest Policing People series by Superintendent Lou Provart of Norfolk Constabulary, who is for the Joint Commands Norfolk and Suffolk, Superintendent, Head of Operations for the Justice Services Command. We're also, Lou, going to speak about it a little later on in this recording, some work that, or a number of presentations that you'll be giving at IBZ Gimborn, so the International Police Association venue in Germany, about police dealing with people in mental crises. So that will be part 2 of our recording. But let me start. Let's look back at your policing career to date. And my stock question, and I'm going to stick with the stock question, what was it that led you to join the police service?
So I joined Norfolk Constabulary as a Special Constable back in 2000, at a point when I was in my university days. Actually came to Norfolk from my native northeast England, and I have this wonderful picture of me as about a 4-year-old with a policeman's hat on my head, sitting in my grandfather's armchair, and from that moment onwards I've always had this ambition to be a public servant in policing. My parents were all in the medical services throughout my career history, so no aspiration to go into that line of work. But I joined Norfolk as a Special Constable in 2000, and for the best part of 6 years plied my trade as a volunteer police officer on the streets of Norwich in the main, and the urban outer edges of Norwich, but also parts of other elements of Norfolk, and decided to join the Constabulary full-time in 2006. So making my service roughly 23 years warranted, or 17 years full-time, depending on which way you calculate it. But I firmly have a view that I was born to be a vocational police officer, and have very much shaped my education and shaped my life around public service within policing.
And you have an academic background as well, so a degree in psychology, criminal and social psychology, and then a little later in your career, an MSc in police leadership and management. So you've combined, it appears, the practical policing side with an interest in leadership, an academic interest in leadership, and the psychology side. To what extent does that academic experience and knowledge, to what extent have you been able to bring that into your policing career?
I think it's really important for policing to skill itself up within the tools and academia of management and leadership. Policing is a complex organ of the state. It really is, and it's one of those services that the public heavily rely upon in their hour of need. Therefore, investment in the skills, in the capabilities of its people, in its managers requires a lot of energy, and that's why we have a kind of College of Policing body which sits to support the ambitions of management. And I have been through a master's degree supported by the College of Policing in leadership management through Warwick Business School. I learnt an awful lot about the nature of leadership, which has fundamentally shifted the way I operate as a leader. And I think for those that are considering policing, this is not one of those jobs where a manager is somebody who is aloof and removed from the front end of the business. We are very much almost routinely, daily, weekly, and in command roles for certain operations, leading on the front edge of policing, side by side with their colleagues at all levels and all levels of responsibility. And I certainly think without that investment, I think we are would be doing a detriment to the public, but also a detriment to our brilliant police officers who want to progress within the service, to be able to get policing right for our communities effectively. And I think the lens of that blend of academia, understanding about what good leadership is, what management actually is, which you don't get, within normal everyday schooling, do you? Fundamentally allows us to provide a really good set of skills to the people that are wanting and willing to become that next generation of senior and middle leaders. So my experience is for those that are in this place of wanting to join policing or go further in policing, I think you really need to have that broad scope of understanding about what leadership is, and I'm really pleased that the college supports that ambition as well.
So, Luke, tell us about how your academic background, um, the leadership qualifications that you have, so an MSc in police leadership and management, but also prior to that, your degree in psychology, criminal and social psychology, how those have contributed to your and influenced your policing career.
I think I made a lot of choices when I was young, in order to move towards a place where I could better understand human behavior. I think that's where I started from in terms of my journey with academia. So I think the psychology of some fundamental building blocks, not to become a therapist or anything like that, but actually just to better understand some of the causation factors, the learnt behavior versus predefined genetic predispositions, for example, about what drives people to do certain things. And of course, let's not forget that actually behavior as defined by the criminal code is something which we collectively agree is on the wrong side or the right side, and that's a democratic decision. And policing is focused upon those individuals who effectively transgress the approved social codes. But of course, some of it is so damaging that actually it's clearly immoral anyway, and you can see that when you play that out internationally in all jurisdictions: murder, rape, serious violence, child sexual exploitation. All of these things are abhorrent in cross-cultural societies. So actually, it's understanding some of the causation, some of the motivation, some of the reasons for offending. So that's probably some of the background as to where I started. Where I moved to, as I've kind of moved through my 23-year policing career, is as you start to get into a hierarchical organisation, as we are, um, and you start leading smaller teams, then slightly larger teams, then thematic portfolios, and then command portfolios, you start to realize actually the skills that you need to deliver that level of business need to transcend into a kind of a different academic sphere. I certainly, and just for the record, I certainly see policing as a vocational career. I think it's definitely delivered by values and systems of thinking about our contribution as humans in society. But actually, when you get into the management world, I think the investment that you need does step into a different space. And that's why I'm really pleased that you've got the College of Policing there. It really does do a great job at bringing skills and opportunities to those that want to progress in policing to be able to develop. And yes, I did my master's in business through supported by the College of Policing, which I'm extremely grateful for, because what that then gave me is a connection between some of the best thinking out there about how leadership should be applied, and allowed me to go back and then deliver that in an operational context, because policing is one of those great places you can't not touch frontline. Doesn't matter how senior you get, you can't not touch it, because you're either running an operation as a silver commander, gold commander, bronze commander, or you're running a business, because part of my day job is running Justice Command. The innovations that we're running at pace with just needs a kind of a sensible approach from a leadership perspective, which actually you don't know until you get given that information. And that's why I'm really keen to make sure that people in policing understand lifelong learning is clearly super important to all of us, whether you're a career detective, a career police constable, or a progressive individual into a management journey. Lifelong learning is super important. It really is. So just progress yourself, test yourself, and look at opportunities to stretch the mind, because that's definitely one of the biggest takeouts of my career to date, is that journey has never stopped. And I continue to this day to research and to provide opportunities to share that research with other police professionals.